I know it seems like the hell ride that never ends, but we are coming into Christmas and we still have the coronavirus ever present in all of our lives. You know what that means? It means three things. It means you need to wear a goddamn mask. It means you need to stay the fuck away from people 2 meters or 6 feet. And it means that if you have any symptoms of the coronavirus, COVID-19, of which you can Google them, you can see all the symptoms listed right on the front page. It means you need to stay the fuck home and you need to stay the fuck away from other people, okay? I'm tired of having to stay in my goddamn house, my country, all the time. Other people are tired of it. Other countries have locked down. Other countries have socially distanced. Look at what Australia's done. Look at what New Zealand's done. Look at what South Korea's done, okay? Be like them, okay? You can do better. I can't do better because I'm doing great because I wear my mask and I keep my distance every time I go out. And I need you to fucking do it too, okay? Because this shit is horrible. We're almost done. 6 months away from a vaccine. I believe in all of you, okay? Keep up the great work. Go on Amazon. Buy cheap masks. Whatever you have to do, make your own. There's videos online how to do it. Do what you have to do. Stay away from people. Wear a mask. And if you have any symptoms of the coronavirus, stay away from everyone else. Stay inside. Wait till you get better. Then go back out. Have fun. Stay safe. Be careful. Okay, listen to me. At least one of you, statistically speaking, one of you is going to go on to write articles for Science, okay? Firstly, fuck you, okay? Secondly, if you get a job doing this, please, in your goddamn fucking headlines, stop using the words may, some, possible. Just throw a goddamn percentage, okay? This is such a worthless fuck headline, okay? For you science journalist writers out there, people recovering from COVID-19 may suffer from significant brain function impacts with the worst case of the infection linked to mental. Who? How many? May suffer? How many may suffer? 85% or like 0.01%? Give a fucking number, okay? This is such a shit garbage fucking headline. Why would you write something like, could you imagine a headline like, people with COVID-19 may lose 3 inches off their dick? Oh, like how many? It's this passive voice obsession is so garbage. It's such a shit way of writing headlines. There's no excuse for it whatsoever. A non-peer-reviewed study of more than 84,000 people led by Adam Hampshire, a doctor at Imperial College London, found that in some severe cases, so what is this? So only in severe cases, and then in some of those severe cases, what is this, 0.000, what percentage? The cognitive deficits were of a substantial effect size, particularly among people who had been hospitalized with COVID-19, researchers said, with the worst cases showing impact equivalent of the average 10-year decline in global performance between ages of 20 to 70. Scientists not directly involved with the study, however, said its results should be viewed with some caution. Should be the fourth story here. This is such a garbage headline. Normally, Reuters is really good. No, all science journalists are trash, fucking shit, clickbait, fucking loser writers. It's not a Reuters or whatever specific problem. It's just the people that write scientific articles are garbage. And the worst thing is that it's their job to do it. Usually the people that write scientific articles and scientific article headlines, usually these are specialized writers. These aren't just normal journalists that are summarizing science whatever. These are normally like special writers that do this stuff. Like, if you put a number in the headline, wouldn't it disincentivize people from reading the article? Hey, newsflash, 85% of people only read the headline anyways. Part of the Sapolsky lectures we listened to he had a really great example of this, about how confidence intervals and sample size and all of that blah, 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 that like sometimes you just need like one crucial piece of information to radically change your entire understanding of a particular factoid. I remember one of the things that he said was that like with a very, very, very high confidence, we were almost positively sure that the second sibling or the second child in any like family will have a higher IQ than the first one. Like it's like a well-studied, well-known thing. Like, and that piece of information can be surprising to people. And it's like, oh shit! Like the younger sibling always has a higher IQ, and that's like a very high confidence interval, very high sample size, well-studied thing. But the difference in IQ is 1 point. So it's like, but like if you leave that factoid out, then you're missing. Well, now the story like is radically different. Now that feels like a radically different thing than you, right? Yeah. Oh, I remember this. How many? I feel like we don't hear about this anymore. But I remember like several years ago. I feel like I would hear. over and over and over and over again. Voyager 1 leaving the solar system. Voyager 1 has left the star system. Voyager 1 no longer in our solar. I feel like, yeah. Uh-oh. Is this is that an actual doctor or somebody with some medical education showing up with a thread? Why doesn't someone just sell it for $12 and make an absolute killing? They do. Walmart has over-the-counter insulin. Well, why don't people just buy that instead? Reddit told me that insulin should be cheap and cost nothing. Because the Walmart insulins are older generation insulins. They work, but are like fighting fire with a fire hose, not a targeted garden hose. It will keep down the fire a bit, but it won't work to the problem. To keep the problem under control is a good way. The newer insulins are able to cover like drip lines or garden hoses, much more steady state. The Walmart insulins are better than nothing, and as a case manager, they're literally a lifesaver as an option, but they will never be a good method of control. Are you suggesting we already had insulin, but a profit motive made pharma companies create an even better insulin for patients? Oh, true. He got downvoted for it, but true. There are many, although to be fair, it's possible that some medical research might persist that, but damn, this guy got ultra downvoted. There are many varieties of different medicines on expert. Why more excel? It's because it's no longer covered under a patent anymore, or it's the only insulin pharmaceutical companies are willing to sell at a lower price. Because obviously worse. I have no issue with the company making powder. I have an issue with a group of price fix a life or death product. It defeats the whole notion of competition, and capitalism doesn't work without competition. That's not actually that actually has nothing to do with competition. It just has to do with elasticity of a product. A product can still be highly inelastic, but there can still be a lot of competition in the market for it. For instance, 20 different companies can create food, and we need food. The demand for food is inelastic, but the demand for a particular person's food is elastic. So this doesn't even make sense, but that's okay. Upvote them because it's Reddit. You know what you're trying to do here. Just stop. The truth here is that medicine goes through multiple iterations of their product, and we're getting the shoddy ones so the FDA and others can claim they're not restricting insulin. True! You're so true! Evil pharmaceuticals. Downvote this guy. Idiot. The problem is that people who need insulin need insulin. Undercutting works better when you have choice in competitors. Why would I charge $12 when I know I can charge $600 but a significant decline in buyers because they need it to live? Okay, wait, let's talk about this real quick. I'm sorry. Holy shit. Okay, okay. I don't know the formal way to write this out, so econ majors get triggered. Let's have a quick... I spend so much time on this stream explaining Econ 101. It's not even Econ 101. This is like high school Econ, okay? Let's say that we have 5 different sodas, okay? A, B, C, D, E, and E. That's it. The chat is blocking some. Go to an optometrist if you can't see this behind chat because you or I fucked, okay? When we talk about elasticity demand, okay, what we're talking about is how much does the demand change in response to a change in price, right? So if we draw a graph over here, okay, let's say that this is our price, and let's say that this is our cost. No, I'm sorry. This is our demand. Can we do P? Do people normally say P or C? Is it price or cost? So if our demand for a given product at this price is incredibly high, and then it tapers off, right? So what do we see here, right? So when the price of a certain good is very low, we have a very high demand for it. Okay, as the price gets higher and higher and higher, the demand for the product slopes off, okay? So we'll consume this number of units at this price, okay? But we're going to consume far less down here at this price, right? However, this good would be considered elastic, right? The demand for it changes with price. However, if we were to have something that looks more like this, we'll consume this many units at this price, but even if the price doesn't change that much, we'll still consume this many units, or this graph would go up, I guess. Fuck, sorry. Hold on, fuck. So as the price increases, the demand stays roughly the same. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, this is right, yeah, right? So this kind of good is relatively inelastic, right? Even as the price gets higher and higher and higher, our consumption of that good or service doesn't change that much, right? We're still consuming a lot of it. It's relatively inelastic, right? Okay, this is what we mean when we say a good is inelastic. So for an example of this, if RGB keyboards cost $50 million, okay, you probably wouldn't buy them because your consumption of that good is elastic. It's responsive to price or cost, okay? However, if the cost of water was $20 a gallon, you'd still probably buy water because you have an inelastic demand for water. You need to drink water to survive, right? Assuming we're not getting orange juice or soda or whatever, blah, 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 right? So even as the cost increases on water, you're still likely to buy it and consume it because you need to. However, okay, something that's important to know, we can talk about, okay, so now we understand basically, okay? Now we can understand basically, we have a basic understanding of elasticity, okay? Something to keep in mind though, let's say we have 5 different sodas. There are 2 different types of elasticity that we can talk about here, okay? We can talk about the elasticity for soda, or we can talk about the elasticity of a particular soda brand, okay? The elasticity for soda is probably going to be lower, it's going to be more inelastic than the elasticity for a particular soda brand, meaning that if the cost of all of soda was to increase, we'd still probably consume it, albeit a bit less, but we'd still probably consume it. But if the cost of a particular soda were to increase dramatically, we would probably shift our consumption to a comparable good. So the demand for a particular soda is relatively elastic, more elastic than the demand for all soda, or no, wait, more, the elasticity of a particular soda is going to be lower than the elasticity of all soda, right? We're more likely to stop drinking one particular soda and switch to a comparable good than all soda, right? So the reason why I say this is because just because there is low elasticity, just because a particular good or service might be inelastic, doesn't mean that there can't be competition. So we could say that each of these manufacturers are manufacturing insulin, A, B, C, D, E, okay? And somebody might say, oh no, there's no free market there. The demand for that good is inelastic. While the demand for insulin or the demand for this product might be inelastic, there are still individual manufacturers that we can turn to where the demand for any particular insulin might be more elastic than the demand for any other particular one. So if somebody were to charge $600 for insulin, for this type of insulin or whatever, right, we could switch to a comparable manufacturer and consume that good instead, right? Does that make sense? Did we understand this? Okay. So when this person says, the problem is that people who need insulin, undercutting works better when you have choice and competitors. Why would I charge $12 when I know I could charge $600 with a significant decline in buyers because they needed to live? If it was a voluntary product, that would make more sense. It's a racket. In order for this statement to be true, none of this is relevant. What you need to go on and say is multiple corporations that create, or multiple firms that produce this product are colluding with each other to fix the price. Because the elasticity for one individual person's insulin shouldn't be any greater than the elasticity for another's, right? Unless they're offering it and it's like a superior product, in which case then it would be worth to pay more, right? Yeah. Oh, fuck. This person says it right here in this response. People need food, but there's competition in food pricing. Yes. Not to mention, people can grow their own food and would if it became prohibitively expensive. You can't grow your own insulin. I love it when I can pick out, when I see like the shining example of the whitest, most middle-class suburban people that it just screams at me like, oh my God, dude, I got Birkenstocks and I fucking go to a liberal art school and I fucking drive home to the suburbs with my mom and dad that I've been living with for the past 27 years of my life. I love it when their comments just come screaming out at me. Like, bro, if food got too expensive, motherfuckers, we would just grow our own fucking crops. Also, we make our own insulin. Where are my non-diabetics at? Well, actually, I guess type 2 diabetics probably make more insulin than normal people, huh? Do you think? Do they? Since it just doesn't work? Well, I guess it works, but their cells don't see it, technically. Oh, lobbying, the secret, magical, mystical thing. So here's my question. If there are any lefties here that disagree with me, okay? Here are my questions for you. Can you please give me a firm on the stock market that is give me a firm on the stock market that's making insulin that I can go and invest all of my money into that's making 20% year over year gains? Can you just give me the ticker for it and I'll go dump all my money into it? Please. I want to know what companies they are. Please tell me. Like, they should be out there. If all these firms are making these obscene fucking profits off of insulin, just give me the ticker and we'll go invest in it. Wow, Pfizer over 5 years is up 10%. Is this like one of the biggest pharmaceuticals? How bad can you lose in the market? The S&P 500 is up 63%. The NASDAQ, the Dow Jones are comparable. Where are all of these massive pharma profits? I guess we go back to 1980, they've grown quite a bit. You just had to get in. You just had to get in 40 years ago. Biotech stock, ask Martin Shkreli. mRNA. Oh, this company blew up. Show me the year after year, though. Like, so do you think that this company is going to continue to make obscene profits? Is going to post obscene profits? Can you give me a company that's not like, that didn't just go big like this year? Like, and this is the problem, right? This is where like, check out CXA, they went from 10 to 40. Yeah. So like, this is the problem, right? If these companies exist that manufacture insulin, that make these obscene profits, I should be able to just find it on the market and just invest in them. Where are they? Like, find me these companies. Where are they? Why don't they exist? Supposedly making insulin is this 5 million % fucking profit margin thing, right? Are you saying company profit is reflected well in stock price raffle? Are you telling me that a company that was posting 30 or 40 or 50% profits year over year wouldn't have a growing stock price? What do you mean? Is this where you're going to try to come out and finagle something? Well, actually, Destiny, technically, a stock price isn't only represented in the profit to the company. Like, you're going to tell me that some company that's, like, consistently posting massive fucking profits year over year isn't going to have an appreciation in stock value? Does that actually happen? Like, they're hiding it so others won't buy it. True. You're looking in the wrong place, Destiny. It's not the giant pharma companies. It's the small ones people jump on and cash out a month later. So small pharmaceuticals are springing up, producing insulin. What? Well, how does that even make sense? How would okay, let's start a company then. So you're telling me that I can just get in the business of being a pharmaceutical and instantly start out manufacturing the other massive pharmaceuticals that produce insulin? It's that easy to make? What the fuck? Let's fucking do it then. Let's do the Destiny.GG LLC fucking pharmaceutical bros. Pharma usually has higher margins on average than other large industries. Coffee, can you source that? I'm pretty sure we looked up into that and it was relatively true, but like it seemed to be the case. But it feels like when you risk adjust for those margins, it comes in line with about every other industry. That, yeah, there are decent margins in pharmaceuticals, but that's because the R&D or the initial capital is so fucking massive that you might have like a string of horrible fucking years and you might just get fucked. Wait, so say again, what is the actual reason why the price of products like insulin are super inflated? I don't know why insulin in particular, but I know that R&D for drugs is incredibly fucking expensive. I know that much. It can cost, I guess it can cost on average like $1 billion to bring a drug to market. Like it's very, very, very fucking expensive to do it. It's billion with a B. Insulin was developed in the 1930s. If you want to go suck a pig off for some shit-ass fucking insulin, then go for it and die, okay? If you want to do it, go for it. But the types of insulin that we use in hospitals today, the synthetic insulin that we create, in a video game, by the way, the synthetic insulin that we create today is far superior than the shit that we had in the 30s and 40s. They're not the same. It's not the same drug. It's not the same thing. Private stocks are only for the rich at Destiny. What? Anybody can buy private stocks if you want. What do you mean? Open a fucking Robinhood account, dog. Buy whatever the fuck you want. Where do the billions of dollars go to bring drugs to market? Scientists, I'm pretty sure the majority of that money goes into trialing a drug. The problem is that, like, when you trial a drug, if it doesn't work, if you can't make any of that information work anywhere, like, that's just fucking garbage. It's just tossed in the trash. Like, it's so much money to bring something from preclinical all the way through phase 3 trials. And if it doesn't work, if it dies in phase 3, or even in phase 2, you could have already wasted $500 million. Do you think the government should subsidize drug R&D so costs low? Maybe, or the government should just buy drugs for us, right? Either via public option or a single payer.
Do you ever feel like an NPC in like someone else's life?
Just got an email saying my sub has been cancelled. Fuck you, Twitch.
Yeah, but what happens when $1 billion trial fails? What do you do? Declare bankruptcy? Lol. I don't even know what point you're trying to make, but okay. In a universal healthcare system, would you just get the best available insulin, or would the quality of insulin depend on your health insurance? I have no idea. It would depend on the type of systems. Lefties are always pointing out how much more affordable insulin is in Canada. I don't know if insulin is actually cheaper in Canada total, or if it's just cheaper at the point of delivery or the point of consumption or whatever, like because the government subsidizes it. I'm not 100% sure. Acknowledge Jon Stewart News. Jon Stewart News acknowledged. Okay. There is no best quality insulin. Generics are about as good a name as brand. Generics today might be, but the insulin that exists today is of far higher quality than the insulin that existed 30 or 40 years ago. That's just demonstrably true. Talk to any doctor that manages diabetic patients. It's just... I don't like comparing the need for food to the need for medicine. Everyone needs food. Not everyone needs medicine. Disease and conditions are shit that happen to you based on luck. What does that have to do with my comparison? I was just explaining the elasticity of things. Every single fucking thing doesn't have to be the exact fucking same thing. That's why it's called a comparison. You're comparing two different things. I don't like comparing food and medicine because food only has 4 letters in it. Medicine has far more letters. So I feel like the comparison just, what the fuck? I've never heard this argument before as far as I know. We've been able to produce pure human insulin for bioreactors for decades. We don't even make it. Bacteria, do we just pure... You've never heard the argument before because nobody actually gives a fuck about anything related to pharmaceuticals. Nobody cares about the solutions. Nobody cares about the patients. Nobody cares about the drugs. It's just a fucking political virtue signal point. That's why you've never heard about this before. I don't want to... I could go back and find the panel that we listened to, but the doctors talking are so goddamn fucking boring. It is excruciating to listen to. But like... there are significant improvements that have been made in newer insulin formulas than what used to exist in the past. So for instance, one thing that current insulin allows us to do is the insulin that we give people today regulates their blood sugar. Look, this is what insulin is for. Here, okay, let's explain this, okay? Maybe a lot of people don't realize this, all right? Okay. This line represents glucose in the bloodstream. Okay? Your blood sugar level is what people will call it, all right? Here, okay, let's do this, all right? The bottom graph here is time. This is glucose, okay? This is going to be a healthy level of sugar in your blood, okay? Is going to be denoted by these black bars. This is what happens when a normal person eats food, okay? They eat food, their blood sugar increases a bit, okay? Their body produces insulin. I'm muting all of these for now.
Health insurance.
Okay? Their blood sugar increases a bit, okay? However, insulin is produced by your pancreas. Insulin is produced, comes into the blood, pushes all of that glucose into your cells in order to get rid of it so that your blood sugar is managed at a healthy level, okay? This is what happens when a normal person consumes food, okay? When a diabetic person consumes food, a type 2 diabetic consumes food, okay? What happens is they eat and they get this huge blood sugar spike, okay? Their pancreas produces insulin. However, their cells, because they've gotten so much fucking insulin pumped, so much sugar pumped into them, right? The cells are a lot slower to respond. And what happens is it takes a lot longer for your blood sugar to actually go back to normal. When you're in this danger zone, when your blood sugar is too high and all of this glucose is just flowing through your body, you have all of these really bad things that happen to your organs because your blood just isn't supposed to be that sugary, right? So in this area, you might see things like your toes start to turn black or your eyes start to fucking fall out of your fucking skull, right? So I think the term here is diabetic neuropathy. It's when organelles or organs start to die or get fucked because your blood sugar is too high, okay? So my understanding is what the insulins of the past would do would be this, okay? Is that your blood sugar is here, you would eat some food, and then this is kind of like how like these like insulins were very spiky in terms of like your blood sugar would rise, they bring it down, maybe too much, maybe up, whatever. But nowadays, with the insulin that we have for a diabetic, once they eat, because the insulin is slow acting or slow releasing, I don't know exactly how the formulas work, the insulin is much smoother in terms of regulating blood sugar than it used to be. So the curves of your up and down for your blood sugar are way better regulated than they were with this older shit insulin that we used, 20, 30, 40 years ago. That the recent developments and the iterations and the improvements on our current insulin formulas have allowed doctors to manage the blood sugar levels of their patients far more smoothly than they used to be in the past. This has been where all of the R&D and the new insulin drugs that have been produced, this is the goal of these newer insulin drugs, okay? I'm oversimplifying the fuck out of this, okay? But it was pig insulin, now it's human insulin. It's not just that. It's not just that we switch from pig to human insulin. There are other improvements that go into these formula as well, okay? Okay. There are basal insulins that are long-acting, keeping a smooth slope. Some will use additional supplemental fast-acting insulin to help with those spikes. Sure. Do you think much would change if the patent was released for insulin? Isn't the normal, can't you make normal old insulin if you want? The patent is on newer formulas for insulin that have been innovated on and iterated on. I'm going to be on a J.C. Lee Peterson panel in a few days, by the way. Is it possible to keep a correct sugar level by a very strict small-size meal diet? Maybe. I don't know. I thought it would be, right? I don't know. Like I don't know. Here's something I don't understand. I don't know. Wouldn't like keto essentially cure like diabetes, or wouldn't keto make it so that you don't have any of that high blood sugar level because of how the ketones and everything are broken down instead? Or is it not that way? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I've always wondered about that, but every time I try to research like keto and diabetic diet, it's always like pre-studies or pre-things with like N = 7 people or whatever. Type 2 a little bit. Okay, so type 2 diabetes, the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, so everybody's saying for type 2 that it works, which is correct, okay, because type 1 it wouldn't make sense. Type 2 diabetes means that your body has had so much fucking sugar in it over and over and over again that your cells, they look like the guy in the comic where it's like, time for your dick flattening time, and he's like, oh, okay, honey, right? The cell is there, and the fucking blood comes in, and it's like, time for your insulin, honey, and he's like, oh, okay, like, give me more sugar, right? Your cells develop something called insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is characterized by diabetes, or diabetes type 2 is characterized by insulin resistance. It means that your cells, they don't want any more sugar, they're full of that shit. They've had so much insulin come by and fuck them in the skull that they don't want to see it anymore. So they turn away some of it, and you have to produce more insulin in your body to store the same amount of glucose, and that's why your shit gets fucked. In type 1 diabetes, your body has a pancreas that desperately wants to produce insulin. The beta cells of the pancreas, I think, want to make insulin, while your immune system comes by, and your immune system skull fucks your pancreas, so your body doesn't actually produce insulin. Type 1 diabetes, if it's not treated, I think can kill you in years, I think, right? Like in a very, very quickly, in a very quick amount of time. Type 1 diabetes is not characterized by insulin resistance. It's an autoimmune disease. I believe it's autoimmune, right? Because your immune system is killing the beta cells of your pancreas, so you can't produce insulin, and so your blood sugar rises and your body can't make the insulin it needs to store the glucose. Are you born with diabetes, or does it usually develop over time? Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. I think you're born with it and then it gets worse as you get older, or you could spontaneously develop type 1 diabetes, I think. Type 2 diabetes is probably more likely to be a lifestyle choice. However, some people are more predisposed towards type 2 diabetes than others. So 2 people could have the same diet their whole life. One person could become a type 2 diabetic and one person could not. I'm pretty sure, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure being obese, even with the exact same diet, can more heavily predispose you towards type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, in my opinion, is heavily correlated with lifestyle. Type 2 diabetes is a dietary choice. Eat less sugar, like be more careful with that shit, and you will probably be okay. So somebody saying type 2 diabetes is inherited. I'm pretty sure that type 2 diabetes, being prone to type 2 diabetes is inherited, the same way that being prone to alcoholism can be inherited. But you have to actually consume the alcohol to become an alcoholic, and you have to actually eat the horrible diet generally to become a type 2 diabetic. Type 2 diabetes is characterized by insulin resistance, which can only happen if your body has to constantly produce insulin to bring down blood sugar levels because you're constantly consuming foods that are really high on the glycemic index for years and years and years and years and years. But you can be genetically predisposed towards type 2 diabetes. It's possible as well that 2 people with the same diet, one person could develop type 2 diabetes and one person could not.
Money. Put money on it. Money. Bet me.
Yes
Bet
or no?
me.
Do you have a Taiwanese power supply inside your rig?
You've seen the power